One thing I'm convinced of is that culture is more important than ever to us. Why is that? Culture used to be something that was nice to have that the guest could feel. Now culture is something that you have to enroll your guests and to make sure that your employees stick around. Two things that are critical to any restaurant company. I was working with an entrepreneur, very successful, great concepts, nice volume, really growing fast. And what we were talking about was, how do we systematize our culture? The reason we were talking about that was he had his biggest nightmare, was getting off the plane somewhere, going to his unit, walking in and realizing it didn't feel like what he wanted it to feel like. It didn't feel how it used to feel when he was there. So we had to do something to make sure that the culture was systematized. So I asked him, hey, how much is your culture worth to you? And the reason I asked that is everything we do in business has to have an economic output. And he looked at me and he said, I don't know. So we worked on it longer. We talked about what culture was worth, and eventually we settled on culture was worth 20 to 30% of revenue. 20 to 30% of revenue. That was the number we came up with, which meant culture was only responsible for 100% of profit. That really got our attention. Here's some things I hear. I hear people say, I am the culture, or I hear people say, I don't care about culture. Those people are operating at their own peril, because you have to have your culture down. You have to know what you want your culture to be, you have to know what your culture is, and you have to close that gap so that it touches every employee, every day, and every guest feels it. The person who told me I am the culture took that work out of our program, but 18 months later they complained their culture was deteriorating. The reason for that was, as you grow, you've got to systematize your culture formally. You cannot rely on yourself. So remember, culture is what not only enrolls your guests, but keeps your employees sticking around. Two things that are paramount to your success. Identify it, figure out what you aspire to, roll it out, and measure it every day.